Hello, everybody. Welcome. Gonna get started here in just a second since it is the top of the hour. I want to thank everybody for coming, and just before we jump in, I want to remind everybody to have, if you can, a little snack or a little treat ready to go for a mindful eating exercise we'll be doing at the end of this presentation. But like I said, welcome. We're so excited to have you here. My name is Rebecca Gibbs. I'm GBS's Population Health Coordinator. And today we're going to be talking about healthy eating for the holidays in this first session of our two-session mini-series. And with this, feel free to chime in the chat if you have anything that you want to say. If you have any questions, you can also put them in the chat or in the Q&A section, and I will be sure to address them at the end of the presentation. And I'm excited to talk to you about this today. So again, thank you for joining us. We're going to just dive right in so we can make the most of our short time together today. So as we approach and are entering into this holiday season, it's really a full 2 months of celebrating, which can be very fun, but also quite exhausting. It's a party every week, if not more, between work parties, family parties, get-togethers with friends. And I know I was looking at my calendar the other day even and trying to schedule one thing with some family members, and I had 3 options available because my schedule is already so packed and I feel like the season hasn't even started yet. And as we're doing all these different celebrations, we're getting together with people. There's great food, and it can just be overwhelming and stressful. And as we think about that, I always like to take time to focus on, why am I there? As much as I joke about I'm only going for the food, I know myself well enough to know there's no amount of delicious food that is going to get me to a place if it's not also filled with people that I want to spend my time around and that I care about and that I can make lifelong memories with. And that's something that I like to focus on, is that we are the center of these celebrations. So us as people, not the food. We're going to spend time socializing, making new friends, having fun, conversing with relatives and reminiscing with old friends. And again, just focus on celebrating as we're doing all these things. And with these celebrations and these cultural traditions, we're often seeing times with food there, and food is intertwined with this. I know so many of my holiday traditions have food associated with them. So my goal today is to help guide you in creating peace around food choices, and also give you some tips and tricks to help you survive this crazy season without derailing your healthy habits that you've been building throughout the year. So with that, we're going to start with just a few simple tips that you can use in the holidays, but also throughout the rest of the year at any celebration you happen to be to. And the goal of these tips is to help you stay energized and feel good. So first, as you're arriving to a party, arrive hungry but not famished. So it can be super tempting to snack throughout the day and wait to eat until you're at the party because you know there's going to be such good food. But really, your body needs energy throughout the entire day. Waiting until you're famished often leads to overindulging in foods, and often not necessarily the foods that your body needs. So try to keep a healthy snack on hand, including protein and fiber to help you stay full. Also with this, don't forget to hydrate. Drinking water throughout the day is very important. As you're eating throughout the day, not skipping meals, make sure those meals are also balanced meals, including healthy carbs, proteins, and fats. And that will help keep your energy up and give you the nutrients that you need. Next, using visual cues to work in your favor. So as much as you can when you're going out, choose a proper restaurant over a grab-and-go food court whenever you can. If you are in a place that's loud or busy like a food court, try to find a table away from loud sounds and distractions, which can lead you to eating more. Same thing with bright lights and noisy surfaces. That often will speed up your eating and can lead to overeating because you're not able to focus on your body's signals and what it's telling you that it needs. Along with this, using visual cues to help discourage extra eating or mindless eating. So keep communal office goodies out of view. Try to put them in an area that's not as highly trafficked, such as a kitchen or a break room, or even in dark containers or covered dishes if they're closer to where you're sitting every day. In one study, people ate 26% more Hershey's Kisses when the candies were in clear dishes versus white ones. And when the chocolate was 6 feet away, The average person ate only 4 a day, as opposed to 9 a day from when they were in arm's reach. Next, being mindful while you eat. We're going to dive into mindful eating a little bit more in a few minutes, but just a quick overview is essentially mindful eating is concentrating on your meal while you're eating it. Taking the time to focus on chewing your food well, enjoying the smell, the taste, and the texture of each item, and then avoiding multitasking, whether you're at home or at a party or just in general while you're eating, as this can lead to mindless eating and really increase those foods that your body doesn't need. Especially around the holidays and at all these parties and celebrations, a distraction that we often don't think about is dinner conversation. And that's natural, that's expected. If you're finding that you're feeling more full at the end of these parties than you want to, or that you're uncomfortable with trying to multitask and focus, and you really want to be intentional with your mindful eating, take time to set your food down until you're finished chatting so you can be more aware. With this, though, know that being flexible is important. So if you know you're going to have a lot of events where you're probably going to eat a little bit more and facing more temptations, take time to be flexible and give yourself grace. You know, allowing yourself to have a sugar cookie a couple days of the week, even if it's not your quote unquote cheat day, is a lot more healthy for your food relationship than eating those once a couple times a week than eating 4 all at once, because you've restricted yourself and you're not letting yourself have them ever. So finding that balance is good. Give yourself grace. Know that this is not an everyday event, even though it's a busy season of celebrations. It's something that you can flex on and get back to your normal traditions and normal habits. Finally, be aware of the sugary drinks and extra things that come your way. So things such as punch, mixed drinks, and even eggnog are going to have a lot of added sugar that will spike your blood sugar, give a lot of empty calories without a lot of nutrient-dense options in there. So just be aware. This doesn't mean to not drink them and not enjoy them. It just means to be mindful and maybe drink them in moderation, or choose one event a week to have a sugary drink instead of every event you're at. Next, I know almost every party that I go to has a buffet table, and there's so many favorite foods built around that. When my family gets together, everybody brings the favorite food that makes it the holiday. And as you're enjoying that, it can be hard to not dread that buffet table because it's overwhelming. There's a lot of decisions to make, and decision fatigue is a real thing. So I want to share a few strategies to help navigate that buffet table and maybe make your day a little bit less stressful with that. So the first thing I always like to do is scan your options, scan what's throughout the whole table. I want to see what my body is saying that it wants, what it's craving, what looks really good, or what maybe I want to pass up on and avoid. If I start at the beginning and don't look at it, I often get to the end and find that there's no room on my plate for a food that I may really want to try, and I may regret putting something else on my plate that I put because it was in front of me, not because I actually wanted it. Next, looking if can you add a fruit or veggie. These are full of fiber, vitamins, and minerals, and will help you feel full while providing you energy as well. So that's something that I always try to make room for. And I always look for a good colorful or bright green option. I love green foods. I'm a weird person that way, but trying to get at least one green thing on my plate is a goal I always have. Next, choosing foods that satisfy you. And that's not only physically satisfying, but emotionally satisfying. Making sure that it's going to be something that is going to make that holiday tradition complete and really make you enjoy the day. That doesn't mean you have to have everything that looks good, but just choosing and prioritizing that. Along those lines, selecting those special treats that are not always available, but choosing to eat them in moderation. As we talked about the sugar cookies a minute ago, if you restrict yourself, you can eventually cave in, and that can lead to overeating. And really, a lot of times that also leads to regret, and you feel guilty or bad about the foods that you ate because, oh, I overate, or I shouldn't have had as much as I did. And that's not a very healthy relationship with food. We want to foster a healthy food relationship. And if we can allow ourselves permission to eat when it sounds good, that can really improve that relationship. Next, look for a smaller plate or serving utensil. So this not only leaves you room to try more foods as you are serving yourself smaller amounts, but it also gives you a good way that you can move into the next step of going back if you have more that you want. You can always start small and get more, but you can't put food back onto the table if you don't want to eat it. So I think a study I found that's very interesting to me is that nutrition professionals and experts serve themselves 31% more ice cream when using an oversized bowl and compared to smaller bowls. And the size of the serving utensil mattered too. So subjects served themselves 57% more ice cream when they were using a 3-ounce scoop versus a smaller scoop. And with this, I always like to remember with the smaller portions that really allows me to touch on a lot of these other options, such as the food that's satisfying me. If I put a bite or two of all the foods that look really good and that I want from that first initial scan, I can taste it and see if it's actually satisfying and actually tasting good. I've had so many times I've put a big scoop of something on my plate and 2 bites in, I go, ooh, this isn't hitting the spot. This isn't what I want. And giving yourself permission to then not finish what's on your plate is absolutely fine and even encouraged. You don't have to eat everything on your plate. But it also, those smaller portions allow you to figure that out and then go back for what's really satisfying for you. So next, talking about grocery shopping. So this is the root of all food and all parties, is going to the grocery store, picking up the catering, whatever it is that you're doing. So a few tips for that is preparing a list and sticking with it. Taking the time to go before and make a list of everything that you're going to need, going through recipe by recipe, step by step, so you don't get halfway through and realize you didn't have butter on the ingredient list and you're out. So taking the time to do that, and then I like to organize my list by areas of the grocery store. So I like to put all of my produce in one section on the list, anything I'm going to go up and down the aisles for, or all the different areas so that I'm really making the most of my time at the grocery store. Next, try to shop alone, or if you are shopping with somebody else, divide and conquer. Take those areas of the grocery store and split them up, and then meet back at the check stand. This will help remove distractions and temptations because you're not saying, ooh, we had that one time, that looks really good. You can say, this is our list, let's make it a race and see who can get their shopping done the most quickly. Next, shopping consistently or at the same time of the day or even just the same day of the week. It helps you develop a routine and then also become more familiar with what you're doing and make it more natural to have that list and go. My husband and I like to make a list of our next week's worth of food on Saturdays, and then we go to the grocery store, usually around lunch or dinner time, and make it a date night so that we can go divide, get our shopping done, get home, and be ready. And that's a habit that if we didn't have, it would be harder to schedule in the time to make that list, to meal plan, and things like that. Next, don't shop hungry. I think we all know that when you go to the grocery store hungry, you tend to buy snacks or goodies that maybe you can eat in the car on the way home or just that sound good because you're munchy. If we're not hungry and you're full or satisfied, then it's a lot easier to stick to that list that you made. Next, oftentimes, I know I've even said it before, sometimes if shop the perimeter of the store, don't go down the aisles. And with that, that's not necessarily always true. I like to also say be selective about the aisles you're going down. So there are a lot of healthy items found in the aisles, such as nuts, quinoa, oats, your grains, and some of the bakery items, dairies, and frozen meals are on those outer edges. With this, I like to say, I'm going to pause and look at the sign at the end of the aisle. And if there's not something down there that I need, I'm not going to go down it. That again adds temptations and distractions. Along with that too, if I can't find something, I'm finding a store associate and asking them and saying, I can't find this, where is it? Rather than aimlessly wandering. Usually they can tell you a lot faster than wandering can do. Or sometimes if you have an e-shop option or where you can even just make a grocery list, I know some stores are starting to do that, they'll often tell you what aisle things are on, which is a great hack to help you save time if you're new to an area or not familiar with the grocery store you're visiting. 6, don't buy things just because they're on sale. Remember what you need and why you're shopping. Impulse buying leads to increased food waste, and it's not a good deal if you're not going to use it and it's going to sit in your pantry and go bad or sit in your fridge and go bad. Finally, I like to say follow the plate method with your cart. So as you're building a plate of food that you want to eat to make what we would call a perfect plate or a balanced plate, you want to start by filling it with produce, then high quality protein, and then healthy fats and varied grains. And a great visual example of this is what they call the perfect plate. And I don't think perfection is something that is realistic for almost anybody to get. I know I'm not perfect in my life with my food. I like to try to hit this a couple times a week and then get to be a little bit of a balanced plate all the rest of the time. And with that, I, again, fill the cart. Look for half your cart to be full of those non-starchy vegetables, a quarter with protein, and then about an eighth with the healthy fat and complex carbs. And this will just help you keep balance, not only in your health and nutritionally, but also in what you're filling your plate with when you're filling your plate at different parties and different events. Next, Asma focuses on people this holiday season, and we want to talk about how you can involve the whole family with your food traditions and your heritage, and how you can get them involved in cooking or baking to help build these bonds and get excitement to try new foods. A lot of times, people I know with kids, they say it's so much pressure. It's so hard to go somewhere and have a new food or a stressful situation where they don't know what they want because there's so much. So getting the kids in the kitchen and helping them make these food decisions builds that excitement. They say, hey, we tried this new recipe. Let's get a bite of it and see. Or do you remember the green beans we bought at the store? This is what they look like now. This is how they taste. How do you remember when we cooked these? And things like that. So with younger kids, you can have them help stir, whisk, use cookie cutters, frost the cookies, set the table, and expose them to all these new foods and things like that. If you've got older kids, get some kid-safe knives and vegetable peelers. A lot of those will also come with a cut glove to help prevent hands from cuts. Even though they may not be super sharp, they can still cut yourself if you're not careful. So getting them something like that, just to give them an extra layer of protection, can help as well. And then as you're doing this, talk about menu planning with them. Let them be involved in that, and talk about the traditions and culture behind the food and why you're doing them, why they're holiday, things like that, why they're a holiday tradition for you. And then finally, another fun way to do it, if you're like me and you're really OCD in the kitchen, I try to include holiday arts and crafts at the table for the centerpiece or to get the kids involved. So with this, a great way is to get a white paper tablecloth, put some crayons out, and let them draw turkeys and pumpkins all over it. Or make a hand turkey that they can then put on as a place card for people coming. And if that way, if they need to get out of the way for a few minutes because it's time to get things done, they've got something to do to still be involved with the dinner or with the meal. Next, talking about gift giving ideas. So as we're coming into the season, there's a lot of gift giving, holiday, friends, family, all these things, and it can be really hard to decide what to give people. So a few categories that I like to focus on. My personal favorite is the gift of time and attention. So that could be as simple as taking a friend out for a jog together, going and playing a game of pickleball, going and trying a new aerobics class that you may be intimidated to go to, such as like trampoline or bar classes, or maybe you've always wanted to try hot yoga but don't want to go alone. Take somebody to go with you. Offer to run your companion's errands for a week. If you're already going to the grocery store, ask if you can pick up groceries for somebody else, or even doing a grocery store pickup. This could also be spending time with them and going to an event, such as a sporting game, a concert, a wine tasting, a cooking class. That also ties into the next category of activity gifts. Looking at, giving a virtual exercise class gift card, membership to a health club, camping or hiking gear to get them outside a little bit more. Along those lines, exercise gear, new pickleball paddle, running shorts, racquetballs, exercise shoes, something, like a new pair of socks. I feel like when as a kid, socks was the worst gift you could get. And as an adult, a good pair of socks is one of my favorite gifts to get every year because they're worth their weight in gold. Next, another great option is healthy treats and baked goods. This is something that you can get kids involved in as well, whether it be baking zucchini bread or carrot bread, getting a medley of your favorite herbal teas, getting a gourmet fruit spread, a fruit tree even, fresh herbs, popcorn, putting together your favorite recipes and giving a couple of the key ingredients to make that meal. A lot of these baking traditions could also help you form a family tradition if you bake cookies and decorate them together and then deliver them to your neighbors. That can be a memory that could be long lasting and help somebody start their own tradition one day when they have kids. Then a few other interesting options is something like your favorite cookbook, a subscription to a health and fitness magazine, or other utilities to help them maintain their healthy habits, such as a walk, a steamer, or even a spider plant to help fight indoor air pollution. Another option I'm seeing become really popular are meal prep containers. If that's a goal somebody has, is they want to get better at meal prepping, is giving them a container that they can do that in more easily. Next, I want to talk for a minute about mindful eating, and that's eating with intention while paying attention. With that, I like to say to be your own nutritionist. What works for one person might not work for you. We all have different needs, tolerances, and likes. So there's no one plan that's going to work for everybody. There is no one end all be all. And taking the time to recognize what works for you and learning what foods make your body and mind feel good is an important investment in your health and when you're looking at nutrition. With that, one of my favorite tools is the hunger and fullness scale. To put it simply, this is all the different ranges of your body's hunger and fullness. The goal is to stay between a 4 and a 7. That's being slightly hungry to full and maybe a little bit uncomfortable. And with that, I always like to say, give your body 10 to 15 minutes to catch up as you're eating. So your body doesn't instantly say, okay, I'm full, I'm done. That takes time. So if you stop around a 6, then you'll probably end up around a 7 within 15 to 20 minutes. With that, this isn't something we want to turn into a diet plan where you always have to be that way. Life happens. Sometimes you get sucked into a meeting or a project and then you realize you're starving. Just try to be aware so then you don't overeat and end up stuffed or bloated afterwards. Focus on trying to have 1 to 2 snacks a day as well as your 3 meals so that you can maintain this. And then listen to those cues. Try to focus on what's going on, how your body's feeling, and take a really curious approach to it as opposed to a judgment approach of how you're doing. Next, talking a few mindful eating tips. So first off, sit. Try to enjoy your meals at the table when possible. Decrease those distractions by focusing on eating, enjoying every bite, put away the technology, and be present. If you have people with you as you're sitting, focus on each other, ask about your day, have everybody share something. And that leads into gratitude and appreciating the meal and the company that's with you there. Appreciate the time and money that went into providing the food and for the sacrifice of time that people are making to spend the time with you. Socializing and enjoying that company. Put down your plate and talk between bites. Put down your fork in between the sentences in the conversation so you can focus and truly listen. Next, try to chew thoroughly, slow it down. Chew for 15 seconds per bite if you can. Next, regulate, as we talked about with that hunger scale. Try to avoid the extreme hunger and listen to your body and feed it when you start to get hungry. Utilize all your senses, such as taste, smell, sight, and enjoy that moment. Eating too fast can throw off your body's satisfaction signals. And finally, as mentioned earlier, really try to hydrate and drink water between your bites of food, as this will help with digestion and aid in fullness. Now the time you've all been waiting for. Go ahead and grab that treat or snack that you brought with you for our mindful eating exercise. We're going to take a few minutes to go through this, and then I've got a few reflections, and then I know there's a lot of things in the chat that I will address at the end. Leave a few minutes for that. Before this mindful eating exercise, if your food item is in a wrapper or in a package, feel free to unwrap that and open it so it's ready to go. But first, I want to start for a second by really grounding yourself in the moment. Put your feet firmly on the ground, sit up straight in your chair, and become aware of your experience in this moment. With your awareness, notice any thoughts, sensations, or emotions you are experiencing. Notice your breathing and close your eyes for a moment. Taking a deep breath in and out. Tune into the sensations you have in your body and notice them without judgment, focusing on simply building awareness for the information your body is sharing with you. Now, turn your attention to your food item. Hold it in the palm of your hand or between your thumb and forefinger. Imagine you're from another planet, and this is a novel item you've never seen before. Notice its color, shape, and size. Let your eyes scan every inch of the item, looking into the different textures, and observe any asymmetries or unique features it may have. Take a moment and reflect on everything that helped get this item into your hand. The sunshine, water, and soil that fueled its growth. Maybe it's the people who harvested the plants, or the knowledge and innovation behind the process to farm, transport, manufacture, store, and deliver this food to your home. Take a moment to fill yourself with a sense of gratitude for everyone involved in the cultivation and preparation of this food. Next, close your eyes and turn your attention to the sensation of the food in your hands. Move the item between your fingers and feel the texture. Explore the ridges or folds. Notice its temperature. Is it cool, Is it wet? Maybe it's slimy or sticky. Is it dry and brittle? Apply a small bit of pressure and notice whether it's soft or hard. Does it rebound from the pressure, or is there a mark behind, or maybe it broke the item in half? Next, bring the item to your nose. Hold it an inch or so away. As you breathe naturally through your nose, become aware of any smells or aromas. What memories arise from the smell? Are there any sensations or reaction your body is having? Is your stomach growling? Maybe your mouth's starting to water. Next, move the item to your lips, and before you put it in your mouth, notice how your arm and hand position it in your mouth and right in front of it without a conscious thought. Place the item gently into your mouth, but don't chew it yet. Instead, allow the food to sit there, exploring it with your tongue, rolling it around to different parts of your mouth. As you do this, continue to breathe and take any mental notes of physical sensations or reactions within your body. When you are ready, begin chewing your food, focusing on those different sensations and the bursts of flavor and waves that come as you chew. Are there any noises happening, like squeaking or crunching between your teeth? Notice how these flavors are changing and these textures are changing as you chew. Explore how that food is dissolving and starting to slowly disappear. When you feel the urge to swallow pop up, wait just a moment, focus on your food for a second more, and then intentionally swallow and imagine the path the food follows from your mouth, down your esophagus, and to your stomach. What sensations linger in your mouth? Any other feelings that arose during your tasting? Feel free to take a second to reconnect your body and breathe. Think of all the things that you just experienced as you inhale and exhale. I hope you guys enjoyed that. A few other reflections that I want to share to follow up with this, and feel free to jot it down on a piece of paper so you remember it. Doing an eating exercise like this, even once a week, can really help you bring awareness to your food and what's going on around you. So I like to think, how is this experience the same or different from how you normally eat? What, if anything, surprised you about the experience? And what did you notice about the food in terms of sight, touch, sound, smell, and taste that you otherwise don't notice? What thoughts or memories popped up while doing this exercise? And then finally, what is one tip for yourself that you're going to take from this experience and apply to your eating habits in the future? And that's something that if you want to throw in the chat, I'd love to hear what tips or what takeaways you have from that. Something I always love to see when doing an eating exercise with people. And then before I jump into the questions in the chat, I want to leave a quote from Julia Child that I think really resonates with this season. And that's, dining with one's friends and beloved family is certainly one of life's primal and most innocent delights, one that is both satisfying and eternal. And if you're popping off, if you don't want to hear the questions, thank you for attending and joining us, but I'm going to get into this chat. I'm excited to see what you guys are saying. Absolutely happy to provide the tip of making the list of foods at home, dividing and conquering. Grocery shopping online is a great way to stick to the list. That way you can double check your cart, and then shopping at home lets you check if you need it. I love that tip. There's so many great grocery pickup options. Comments on the weight loss surgery, the plate method is similar, just a little bit different. Swap the lean protein percent with the non-starchy vegetables. Love that. I think it's great to really personalize and customize that. That's a great example of finding ways to take what you know is best for you and apply it versus what, the general may be. Butcher paper, great tip for tablecloths as well. That's a great way to get kids involved in coloring, and even some of the adults too. I think some of my favorite things have been seeing what my grandpa or my parents are doodling on there because the grandkids want them to color with them. Color with me, Grandpa. Hunger fullness scale. Yes, we'll make sure we get a copy of this PowerPoint posted. We'll also be sending out the recording through Zoom tomorrow. It's a great reminder, great thing. Trying to not eat at your desk. I'm loving some of these takeaways. Slow down and savor. Yes. Really see and smell the food before eating it. Absolutely. Holiday crafts. Slow down and savor. Let's see. Trying to read through these. So sorry. I'm a slow reader sometimes. Making your own crafts. You don't have to have, I don't have kids either. I make, besides the fur child, and making your own crafts is fun too. It's a great way to just de-stress and have some personal care time. Glad to have some nostalgic experiences and savoring the treats and being more conscious. Absolutely happy to do it. Paying attention makes a difference. Set an alarm to drink water, I think, is a really great option too. I think that that's something that's really, really a great way to just make sure you do it. It is hard to not swallow instantly too. I do love that comment as well. Make sure I'm not missing any other questions. If I missed your question, I think feel free to pop it in the chat again. I tried to read through all of them, but again, thank you all for attending. We'll have this sent out next week. We hope to, or tomorrow, and we hope to see you next week at our second session. I'll stay on for a few minutes if anybody else has questions, but we hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks, everyone. Thank you guys. Thanks for joining. Remind you what to aim on the hunger scale between a 4 and a 7. Thanks, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your week, and we'll see you next week.